What's going on, everyone? I'm AB Sports. There's only 1 week to go in the NFL regular season, but there are still so many ways the playoffs can shake out. Today, I'm going to be breaking it all down for you. I'm going to start off with the 14 teams who have been officially eliminated and mathematically cannot make the playoffs. They are Vegas, the LA Chargers, Minnesota, San Francisco, New England, Denver, Carolina, Detroit, Cincinnati, Philly, Atlanta, Houston, the Jets, and Jacksonville. And for what it's worth, Jacksonville has officially clinched the #1 pick in the 2020 draft. Alright, and with the expanded playoff format this year, 14 teams will make it. 7 of those 14 spots have officially been clinched by Kansas City, Green Bay, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, Seattle, and Tampa. And with 14 out and those 7 clinched teams, that leaves 11 fighting for 7 playoff spots. And based on how things play out in Week 17, the Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, Browns, Washington football team, Rams, Bears, Cardinals, Colts, Cowboys, and Giants could end up in the postseason or home for January. Let's break down all of the scenarios, starting with the NFC, which is honestly pretty simple. Starting at the top, the treasured bye that comes with the #1 seed is still up for grabs. The easiest way the bye is settled is if the Packers beat the Bears. If so, they finish 13-3 and get the #1 seed. But New Orleans and Seattle can also get the bye. If the Saints beat the Panthers, and the Seahawks beat the Niners, and the Packers lose to the Bears, the Saints will win the 3-way 12-4 tiebreaker and get the bye. Seattle can win the bye too, but it is less probable this happens. If Seattle beats the Niners, New Orleans loses to Carolina, and Green Bay loses to Chicago, Seattle will get the bye and the #1 seed. I do not see all 3 of these things happening, but crazier things have happened in 2020. If Green Bay wins and gets the bye, Seattle can still take the #2 seed from New Orleans, but only if the Saints lose to the Panthers, which again, I don't think is very likely. Each of the top 3 seeds in the NFC have clinched their division title, but the NFC East is still up for grabs. Washington controls its own destiny. If they beat the Eagles, they go to the playoffs. If they don't, they don't. Simple as that. And if Washington loses, the winner of Cowboys versus Giants will win the NFC East and get the 4 seed. None of those teams have a good enough record to be in contention for the wild cards. And Tampa Bay has clinched a playoff spot and are all but locked into the #5 seed, and a first-round matchup with the NFC East winner. For Tampa to drop to the 6th, they would have to lose to Atlanta, and the Rams would have to beat the Cardinals. Now, I don't think Tampa will lose, but I especially don't think the Rams will win, with no Jared Goff, no Darrell Henderson, no Cam Akers, and no Cooper Kupp. That leaves the last 2 spots in the NFC, the 6 and 7 seed, which will be some combination of the Rams, Bears, and Cardinals. The Rams and Bears control their own destiny, with a win and in scenario. Rams will only miss the playoffs if they lose to the Cardinals and the Bears beat the Packers. So, even if the Goffless Rams fall to Arizona, they will still make it if Green Bay beats Chicago. The Bears are also winning in. If they lose, they can still make it, as long as the Rams beat Arizona, which at this point seems very unlikely based on the injury that I just talked about. Finally, Arizona has the trickiest path, as they have to beat the Rams and hope the Bears lose to Green Bay. Arizona could win and still miss the postseason. And now over to the AFC, where there is no battle for the bye. The 14-1 Chiefs have clinched. We won't see Mahomes and co. till January 16th for the divisional round. The #2 and 3 seeds can still change hands mathematically, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Buffalo has the 2 and Pittsburgh has the 3. The only way that switches is if Buffalo falls to Miami and Pittsburgh beats Cleveland. I know that seems possible, but Big Ben and the Steelers stars won't be out there. I guess Mike Tomlin doesn't care about seeding and wants to rest his guys for the playoffs. The Steelers haven't had a bye since week 4, so I think it's a good call. The rest of the picture is where things get interesting, where 5 10-5 teams are fighting for 4 spots. The Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, and Browns all have win and in scenarios. Tennessee plays Houston, Miami plays Buffalo, the Ravens play Cincinnati, and the Browns play Pittsburgh. The Colts, currently on the outside, play Jacksonville. The easiest path is for the Titans. Beat the reeling Texans and you're in at the 4 seed. Or even lose to Houston, and as long as one of Miami, Baltimore, or Indianapolis loses, the Titans are good. 4 things have to happen for the Titans to miss the playoffs, and a couple of them are very unlikely. Tennessee should be good. If the Dolphins beat Buffalo, they will make the playoffs. However, even if they don't, there are only 2 scenarios where Miami doesn't make it. One scenario is if they're the only 10-6 team out of the 5 in question, because obviously they will have a worse record and miss the playoffs. And 2, if only Miami and Tennessee lose this week and fall to 10-6. Any other combination of losses by Cleveland, Indy, Tennessee, or Baltimore, and Miami makes it. Baltimore is the team nobody wants to face right now. After being left for dead at 6-5, they now sit 10-5 and are 1 win over the Brandon Allen-led Bengals away from making the postseason red hot. There are scenarios where the Ravens miss the playoffs if they lose, but I don't think it's worth it to go over them because it is so unlikely this team loses to Cincinnati with the playoffs on the line. The highest seed Baltimore can get is the 5, and they'll get that with a win and a Miami loss. The Browns could have clinched the postseason with a win over the Jets last week, but we all know how that turned out. It's a pretty simple scenario for Cleveland this week too. If the Browns beat the Mason Rudolph-led Steelers, they're in. And if they don't, the only way for them to make it is if the Colts lose to Jacksonville, which seems very unlikely to me. And last up is the Colts, who I was just talking about. The Colts are the only AFC playoff hopeful that doesn't control its own destiny. Even if the Colts beat the Jags, at least one of the Titans, Dolphins, Browns, or Ravens have to lose for the Colts to make the postseason. This is everything that can happen this week. It's going to be a great week of football with all 16 games on Sunday. If you like this video, how about leaving a like and subscribing to the channel? And thanks for watching.